Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our little seminar about the rules and safety of the formerly known as Beer League, but now the Recreational League at the iceHQ ice rink. A little bit of housekeeping to start off with. My name's Carl Brewer. I'm the head coach of the adult dev squad, which consists this season of the Tax Tigers and the Jet Speed Jokers, I think it is this season. So the yellow and the blue teams. This session is also being recorded, so anyone that does miss out on watching it tonight or wants to rewatch it or anything along those lines can watch it, and we'll be putting it up. It'll be recorded to YouTube and then posted to the Adult Dev Squad webpage, and anyone who wants a copy of it is welcome to review it at your leisure or your pleasure, or otherwise, as the case may be. Another thing that I'd very much like all of you to do this evening, those of you who are comfortable with using Zoom, flashbacks to 2020 and the indomitable lockdowns, is I do want this to be interactive. I don't want to just sit here and yap at you for an hour and a half. It's pretty boring for me and pretty boring for you as well. So feel free to interrupt, ask questions. I want you to do it. I don't want to just go off and tell a story that I've told half a dozen times before without any interaction. When you ask questions, it means obviously that there's something that you need to know, and you won't be the only one who wants to know what the answer to that question is. I would say, how are you all doing? But I know kind of on Zoom that doesn't work very well. But I will say, I'm guessing most of us are still reasonably familiar with using this sort of software. We got exposed to it obviously during the COVID stuff, which was all not very much fun. But we got familiar with it. It does have some pretty valuable uses. Those of you in the dev squad, we do run a weekly Zoom session, which starts off as going through play stuff and later on ends up as an analysis of our games and so forth as well. So we will be using it quite a lot throughout the season. But this is open to players in the Div 9, used to be called C2, the Div 9 division out in the iceHQ Recreational League, which is not just Dev Squad players, it's also players this season from the Southern Lights and also the Griffins, which is the La Trobe University team as well. So there's 4 teams in the division this season. No buys. Every week you get a game, which is great. It means we don't get a rest every 3 weeks, but we're coaching staff. That's our problems. So I'll jump straight into it. I don't want to waste anyone's time. It's a weeknight. We've all got things to do. But again, if you do have questions, feel free to just unmute your mic and say, "Oi, got a question. What are you talking about? That doesn't make sense." You're probably right. It probably doesn't. So do feel free to interrupt me when and where you feel it's appropriate to do so. But we'll start off just looking at I've got a slideshow, so you're all familiar with PowerPointy style presentations. I'll try and avoid it being that sort of routine. I'm just going to sit here and yawn while I look at it. But just a little bit of information on what we're doing. We're going to be fairly information dense, so I'm not going to waffle on too much if I can. First and foremost, welcome to our former beer league, to our recreational league. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I reckon it's probably the most fun you can have standing up, and you're going to fall over, so it's a lot of fun falling over as well. But the game does stop when a referee blows a whistle, and when that happens, the temptation is sometimes to keep playing a little bit, but don't. If the referee blows a whistle, you immediately stop. You don't keep playing the puck. You don't shoot it in the net. Certainly don't shoot it in the net. The goalie from the other team will get very upset if you do. There's some pretty good reasons for that. What do you think some of them might be?
Sportsmanship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good piece of being a good sport. Certainly shooting a puck after the whistle's blown is in the NHL. I don't know if any of you saw last season there was an incident where there was an open net goal scored, and it ended up in a bit of a stoush. We don't have fights in our league, but it is certainly an issue of being a good sport. Anything else you can think of?
They won't be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Whistle blows, the game stops. The goalie will certainly switch off, and the goalie is probably the most vulnerable player on the ice. And it's our obligation to protect goalies as best we can, our goalies and the opposition's goalies. It doesn't matter what jersey they're wearing. We look after goaltenders. They are very vulnerable, especially when they're on the ice doing something like diving on a puck or something or other. Referee blows the whistle, you immediately stop. Don't keep hammering away at the goalie with your stick. It's particularly, I mean, it's a safety issue as well as a respect issue. That's probably the 2 big ones. The referees will be very strict on it. If you continue to play after the whistle, the referees you'll get a penalty for it without a doubt. You'll have to go sit 2 minutes in the box. So don't do it. Seems obvious, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to tell. Sometimes the referees are a little bit slow with the whistle, or sometimes the whistle's a little bit quiet. Some people have, some hearing issues, might not be able to hear it. So when that happens, you want to be mindful of if you see someone else hacking away, say, "Hey, stop!" Like get in their face and tell them to stop whatever they're doing without whacking them with a stick or something or other. It seems obvious now, but in the heat of the moment, it can be a little bit hard to sometimes tell. Contact. Who's been told that this league is non-contact? Anyone? This league is not non-contact. And that's something we all need to get our heads around fairly quickly. It's non-checking, and non-checking is different to non-contact. What do you think that the difference might be?
You can't purposefully shove someone into the board, but
yes, you certainly can't do it deliberately.
but that doesn't mean that you can't you can't really get to the puck without being in the other person's space if another person has the puck.
You're allowed to contest the puck. And so you're absolutely right. If someone else has the puck and their body's in the way, unlike field hockey, where if someone's body's in the way, you just have to go around it. In ice hockey, you can contest the space. You're not allowed to knock someone over deliberately who is not contesting the puck or is not in the actual process of contesting the puck. The reality is there'll be collisions in this game. We do our best to make them, in particular, in beginner grades, to be as safe as we can possibly make them. But we can't eliminate the risk of injuries. There are some places on the ice where you will have what's called a fair push and shove. If you recall the very first photo on this one, you can see now on the screen there's two players contesting space in front of the goal. That area there is called the slot in front of the goal. And that's a player in green, Ash Aaron, and the player in blue is Hardy, I think, from memory. They came through our program about 3 years ago. And that's a fair battle for position. They both want to be in the same spot and say, no, I want to be here and you want to be there. And well, we're just going to have to push it out. But you need to make sure that we manage that and we don't get silly about it. But you can have fair push and shove for the puck. But the overarching principle is safety. We're not allowed to deliberately hurt someone, and we're not allowed to play contact on their body except in the process of playing for the puck. So I'll show you some videos to try and make that a little bit more obvious, because it can be a little bit difficult to tell the difference. But I'll show you, first of all, some fair push and shove in the net. So I'm just going to bring up a video for you so you can have a bit of a look. Excellent. All right, so you'll see here, I probably need to edit this video. I've been using it for a long time and it's a little bit crusty. But if you have a look in front of the goal on the bottom, you can all hopefully see where my mouse is moving. Have a look at a little bit of push and shove. All right, what just happened?
The person in white shoved the person in red.
Yep. Did they fall over?
No.
That's called a fair push. That person in white, by the way, is me. Just so I'm not trying to pick on anyone else. And the person who I pushed is a guy that I know pretty well, and I know he can skate fairly well. The general rule of thumb in that situation is you can give someone a push to move them out of the way, but if you push them over, you're going to get a penalty. So you can contest the position, but you can't knock someone over and basically risk an injury. That's a bit of a no-no. If you have a look at the push quite closely, you might see, and I'll see if I can get a bit of a frame view on it, a little bit slower. See where the push is? There, it's down low on his hips. Not pushing his head, and not pushing his shoulders, and not cross-checking with the stick across the back of the neck or anything along those lines. It's just to push down on his hips, just to move him out of the way so I could establish a little bit of space. Because I wanted this room in front of the net here so I could try and score a goal. Didn't get it in that case, but you're allowed to do that. What you're not allowed to do is knock someone over. So it's a measured thing. If you're, especially in beginner leagues, like all of you will be throughout this first season, if there will be people who've got better balance and skill on their skates than others, and it is your obligation to make sure that any use of force you use is appropriate. In other words, if you and I are playing against each other, you can push me as hard as you want. I don't care. Go for it. But if it's someone who's clearly unstable on their feet, maybe don't do it. And it's a bit of a judgment thing, because if you overdo it, as well as risking a penalty, you're also risking doing someone an injury, which we absolutely want to avoid if we can. So another example of some more goalmouth contention for position. Here's another one, and this is actually the video that still was taken from in the start, I think. Remember? All right, so the contest here in this one that's interesting is this little bit here. So when we play the video, they're both contesting for position. Neither of them are losing their footing. It's pretty harmless. They just both want to be in the same space. The defending player says, no, you're not going to stand here. And the forward says, I want to be here so that I can either score a goal or get in front of the goalie so they can't see it. It's called screening. And so that again is a fair jostling for position. And that's okay. No one falls over. There's no harm caused. That's basically all right. But it's not always like that. This is the same player. And I've zoomed this one in a bit so you can see it a little bit more. And this is an example of contesting the park. Sorry, of not contesting the park as part of trying to maintain, trying to take the puck off someone. So just have a look at this video here and see what happens. All right. That's a check. That's not a fair contest for the puck. I'm not sure if you can see the puck all that clearly. It's a little bit blurry. The puck's over here. But when Ash was skating in to put some pressure on it, you can see the motion. If we try and go through this frame by frame, and I think this will do it without getting too weird. That's not an attempt to play the puck. Puck by that stage is well gone. And Ash has decided to check Luke into the boards. That's 2 minutes. So that's an example of inappropriate contact, just so you can kind of see what happens. There's a lot more to it. If you're interested, there's a whole series of videos that the American Hockey League put out, because most of their leagues are non-checking, and you can see a gazillion examples of the difference between a check and and fair contact. But the basic gist of it is, if you are playing the puck within reason, almost anything goes. But if you are playing the player and not the puck, then you're going to get a penalty for a check. And that's probably the biggest difference from what you may have heard. So anyone who's, and none of you will have played very much before, but that's the gist of it. If you have played field hockey, it's nothing like field hockey. Imagine it's a little bit like basketball or netball, though. Yeah, netball, you can occupy space. You know how in basketball you can occupy space, and there's contact around that. There's a bit of push and shove. As long as you're actually contesting the ball in those sports, or in our case, the puck, then that's okay. But again, with that caveat, always be mindful who you're playing against, and not trying to hurt anyone. So always be careful about safety. The other thing to be very conscious of, if you watch a lot of NHL games, they have fights all the time, don't they? Who doesn't love an NHL fight, right? We don't have fights in our grade, in our division, in our league, and anyone who does get involved in the fight will be suspended for a long time. So regardless of what happens, someone runs into you, there's incidental contact or whatever, do not escalate, do not drop your gloves, anything like that. You'll be booted out of the league very, very quickly indeed. You'll never play again. So just be very mindful of that we don't have fighting in our league. Okay. sharing that screen show. Sorry, I've got too many windows open. Any questions so far about any of that stuff? Please feel free to interject. What are you talking about? That's nuts. All right, here we go. Back to this one. No fighting. All righty. Our league is a recreational league. It used to be called a beer league, which is it's an American essentially term for, or Canadian term for adult recreational sport. If you've played any other sports, but not juniors channeling into elite, it's the same sort of deal. We're playing for fun. We want to be as good as we can, and we want to improve as much as we can, depending on whatever circumstances that we all have. But it's a recreational league. At the end of the day, we're all going home and we've all got jobs tomorrow. There are drinks provided at the end of the games, with the exception of public holidays and the last game of the evening, I think. So you get a free drink. It can be a beer if you're an adult. Obviously, if you're under 18, it's not, but you get a free soft drink or a bottle of water or whatever. And that's served in the bar up above the rink. If you miss it, you don't get to come back the next week and pick up two. If you feel that you missed out and there's no staff member there, you can't reach over the bench at the bar and pour your own beer because you're entitled to. Don't do that. If you do, the entire team will get no more free drinks for the rest of the season. We did actually have someone who did that a couple of seasons ago. I don't think they realised that it was not what they should be doing. And it was quite embarrassing for that player indeed, because it's all whole place has got video. So he was video doing it. And we had a little bit of explaining to do. But anyway, don't help yourself to the bar, and the staff will get to you to give you your free drink whenever they can. If you don't drink beer and someone else does, and you feel like you can always give them your beer, that's what I do. But yes, beer, soft drink, whatever after the games. You're not. We do require that you don't go out into the car park and carry on out there. It's part of the rink's licensing rule. Any alcohol has to be consumed in the premises, not out in the car park out the front. The rink's quite serious about that. We do have an old people's home right next door to us, and they're not huge fans of us getting a bit rowdy. So no carrying on in the car park afterwards. The bar's pretty good. It's got a great view of the rink, and it's comfortable, and there's no mosquitoes there. In summer in particular, the car park fills up with mozzies. And no one wants Ross River fever or anything like that. We also want you, when you leave, if it's a late game, to drive down the main road and not turn left and go past the residential area in the primary school. Again, just in terms of looking after our neighbours. And if you do have a loud, raucous car with a noisy exhaust, chill out and keep it quiet. Yeah, no burnouts in the car park, please. We try and maintain a good relationship with our neighbours. We do operate very late nights. Like there'll be games up until 11 o'clock midnight sometimes. And so we do have an obligation to be as good neighbours as we possibly can. We want stuff from the council. We have to make sure that we're not filled up with complaints and so forth. So always be considerate at the end of a game about our neighbours as well, please. Contact. More stuff about contact. It's the International Ice Hockey Federation Rule 101.1, and it's the women's rule. Is at the international level. Female hockey is non-checking, whereas men's hockey is checking. Have any of you watched the new women's professional league in the United States and Canada that popped up over the last 12, 18 months? No one?
I've been watching it.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Much better than women's AFL, that's for sure, which is a disaster. But that's the sort of contact that's permitted, but that's at the upper end of it. They're a bit rough. We don't want that level of contact in our division. Again, risk of injury and so forth. None of us are professionals. I'm not going to read through that page. You can read through that on your own time if you like. All the rules can be downloaded. The International Ice Hockey Federation has a PDF of the rulebook, and it's pretty easy to find if you just use your favourite search engine and go and grab a copy of it. I'm not going to read through that, but that's the rule. If you're looking for it, that's the rule that we play under. There's another one that's interesting, and that's interference. If you've played Australian rules football, you'll be familiar with being able to run between a tackler and the ball carrier. You're not supposed to do that in hockey. You're not supposed to get in front of someone. That said, in hockey, you're always allowed to hold your ground. You don't have to move to get out of someone's way. So if it's contested space around the front of the net, which is where you get congestion, you're basically standing still as a defensive player or even attacking player, you don't have to move to get out of someone's way. You can stand still. You can brace yourself. It's not like basketball where you have to just fall over and let someone run into you. You can brace yourself in hockey and say, "This is my space. I'm just going to stand here." You're not allowed to deliberately move into someone's path if they're not the puck carrier, but you are allowed to hold position, and you just don't have to get out of their way. So just something to be mindful of. These are all reasonably simple rules at the moment. As you can see, that's rule 56.1. Hooray! Right, equipment. This is a weird one. It's pretty rare in beginner grade, but every now and then it does happen. If you break your stick, you're required to drop it immediately. That's weird, isn't it? Why is that?
Is that for all ice hockey?
Yep.
Also, just curious. Well, that explains why people. I'm assuming it's because they can be dangerous, like
Absolutely.
with shards and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite a dangerous thing. We play if you think about the game, you're skating around on a very, very unforgiving surface at high speed. Even beginners are usually going faster than most people can run most of the time. Boards around the edges, they've got no give in them. The ice has no give in them. You've got knife blades attached to your feet and a weapon in your hands, right? We want to minimize the risk of that as much as we can. So if you do break your stick, just drop it. Don't throw it. Just immediately drop it on the ice. The referees will sort it out. Here's an example of that. This is at a high-level game not that long ago. Did I MP4 that one? I did. Not sure if you'll get sound from this or not. If you don't get sound, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. Here's an example. Let's watch what happens in this video.
The penalty box for that first goal against Brilnick now, protecting the puck, still with it on the half wall, drops it for McMahon. A nice little slapper there, probably fanned on it a bit. Allows Kushalov to get it. So he chips that up for Ivan. But nice.
I'm not. Come back.
Finds Brilnick.
What's that, John?
Broken stick. You might not have noticed it in the side play, but he picked up a new stick straight past and straight back to shut down that attack as well. So really good.
Intercepted there by Dimitri.
I'm not sure. Were you getting sound from that?
Yeah, we were.
Okay. So
including from me. My apologies.
My apologies for the commentary. That's myself and Anton Goss. This was a Pacific game a couple of years ago when the Pacific League was running. We'll go back a few frames and you can see the player down here. That's Michael McMahon, who's a bit of a legend in Australian ice hockey. Watch what happens.
Still with it on the half wall, drops it for McMahon.
See that?
Dick went flying.
Yeah, half of it did. He's still got the other half in his hand. Watch what he does.
Nice little slapper there, probably fanned on.
Yeah, he just immediately drops it. Now, what you don't notice, or you might if you're really paying attention,
Allows Kushalov to get it.
is now he's got another stick. That's the same guy. He skated past the bench. Someone's held out a stick for him, and he's grabbed a new stick on the way past, and gone down and shut down a defensive player, which is brilliant. There's a reason why this guy's one of the legends of Australian ice hockey. He's very, very good. But he broke a stick, immediately drop it. Don't take it to the bench. Don't give it to the referee. Just drop it. Yes, it's
watching the NHL documentary, and they were showing there's like a guy on the team whose job is just like whichever player is like closest to the puck, he holds his hand on their spare stick. I was like, that's cool. He's ready.
He's ready to hand one out
As soon as he needs to. That was cool.
It's pretty well organised. We don't have quite that level of service. As a general rule, if you break a stick in our league, we would expect you to change rather than, because you probably don't have a spare anyway. It's not a bad idea to have at least two sticks. In the old days, we all used to do it because early sticks were timber and later sticks were a two-part composite. So they had a composite shaft with a timber head and they used to break all the time. So all those of us old timers who've been playing the game for a long time, we usually, just through force of habit, will always bring at least two sticks to a game just because, if I break one, what am I going to do?
My spare stick cost me $50. It's a timber Bauer thing. Terrible stick.
Oh, it's a brick, yeah?
Oh, yeah. But it's the spare one.
All right, so that's an example. If you break a stick, you've got to drop it. The other thing to be mindful of is that your equipment has to be ice hockey specific. And this is relevant to all of you because you're new and you may have picked up gear from who knows where, secondhand. I had this thing lying around in the garage, that sort of stuff. I used to play lacrosse, so I've got my lacrosse helmet. It's got to be ice hockey specific. The requirements of the game are quite unique, and so we do require that you wear actual approved ice hockey equipment. Soccer, for example, soccer shin guards, they're not going to cut it. Full ice hockey gear. It's the safest. It's the safest thing you can wear on the ice is gear that's actually designed for ice hockey. It doesn't have to be brand new, but it does need to be ice hockey specific. In particular, your helmets. They've also got to be worn in a particular way. If you're under 21, sorry, if you're under 18, you have to wear a full cage or a full, what's called a fishbowl, which is the clear plastic with a vent down the bottom. If you're under 21, you're allowed to wear a visor, which has to go down at least to your nose. You can see the photo there in front of you. That's, oops, come back. That's Hayden Dawes, another legendary guy, showing you how not to wear a mouth guard. Put it in your mouth. But you can also see there he's got that half visor. We don't recommend. Sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, I'll let you finish.
Yeah. We don't recommend the use of visors. We strongly recommend the use of a full cage or a goldfish bowl for a couple of reasons. Probably the main one is that when you're starting off, most players don't have particularly good awareness of what's happening with the game and also control of their equipment. And if a stick whacks you in the face, you're going to lose teeth. You don't want to lose teeth even if you're wearing a mouth guard. It's pretty unpleasant. So we do strongly recommend that you wear full face cages. That said, it's not a requirement unless you're a junior. You can wear a visor. If you're going to wear a visor, wear a mouth guard and wear the mouth guard properly. I'm one of those old school guys. When I first started playing, we didn't even wear visors. I'm not quite sure how I got away with it. But nowadays, at a minimum, a visor. They're good, they're strong. Wear a mouth guard, wear it properly. The visor also, I'll show you an interesting photo here. This is not going to behave in a weird way.
While you're looking for that, all I was going to say is last season there was a Griffins player who got headbutt by his own teammate. He's the only guy out there with a visor. He had to have plastic surgery on his lip and got a concussion out of it. So seriously, like, don't wear a visor.
All right, so here's an example of how not to wear a visor. Anyone know who that is?
It's bejesus.
Connor Bedard, legend. Yay, hooray. Look at him not wearing a helmet properly. What's wrong with this picture?
He was underrated at the time.
It's NHL, the rules may be a little different. What else is wrong with that picture? What should a visor cover?
His eyes.
The nose.
It should cover your eyes and your nose. It's not covering either of them. You may as well not have it.
Not done up either.
Yeah, it's also not done up. So there's a lot wrong with that picture. Don't wear a helmet like that. Have it done up properly. Wear a full face cage unless you really, really don't want to. Again, it's not compulsory. We're not going to make you wear a visor. We're not going to make you wear a full face cage. We do very strongly recommend it. In our league, women are allowed to wear visors as well as men. In international ice hockey rules, women are always required to wear a full cage. We think that's, if you're silly enough to want to wear a visor, it doesn't matter where you go to the toilet. You can wear one if you choose to. So we made that the decision at iceHQ to say you can choose to wear a visor regardless if you're over 21. It's your decision, or over 18. It's your call. If you want to be silly, it's up to you. Be mindful that the insurance may not cover dental. So that's just something to be conscious of. And don't worry, I won't like Bedard there. Maybe a great hockey player, but I'm not sure he's the smartest guy in the world. Anyway.
He did wear a full face cover until he was 18.
Yes. Well,
that is the rules of NHL.
That's the rule you're required to. Neck guards too. Neck guards were introduced last season as a reaction to an incident in the UK where a player was killed by being hit in the throat by a skate blade. It is now a requirement that you have a neck guard. They are available in the hockey shop, which is open almost all the time, and they sell a lot of them because people forget them because it's black, it's in your hockey bag. I forgot my neck guard. You cannot play without it. You will not be allowed on the ice. The referees check it at the start of each game, and in addition, if it does fall off, you can continue to play that shift but you're not allowed to rejoin the rink until you've got a neck guard back on again. There are a few different versions of them. You can get the ones that are like a fake tie that have a Velcro tab on the back. They're not bad, but the better ones are the ones that are actually attached to your shirt. If you have a compression shirt with a built-in neck guard, it's not going to fall off. It's not going to be as annoying. And that's certainly what I use when I play. I've got them. I don't have them in the pro shop at the rink at the moment, but I think they'll have them fairly soon. I think CCM have some, and all the rink sells is CCM. But you can get them online, Amazon, and so forth have some that are built in, and they're pretty good. They're much better than the floaty ones that every now and then fall off and Velcro. And in particular, if you've got long hair, the Velcro ones are pretty awful because your hair gets stuck in it all the time and so forth. So yeah, get your equipment done up properly.
If you have long hair, I have hacks for getting the Velcro ones to not suck so bad. So let me know.
Yep.
I bought one for a whole season of hockey school.
Yep. Again, I can't recommend enough the ones that are actually built into your shirt. I think they're much more comfortable.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Skaters Network down at the O'Brien Ice House has the shirt neck guards.
Yeah, they're much better, I think, at the moment. And the CCM ones, apparently, I'm told they're coming. I'm associated with our rink, so I've got to fly the flag. But the reality is that the actual Velcro ones, I'm not a huge fan of them, and the other ones are much more comfortable. And if it's
Tomorrow, apparently, we're going to get our order too, by the way, Carl. I
Yep.
got told today.
I picked up my shirt on Amazon, I think, because they didn't have any of the rink. Otherwise, I'd buy from the rink. I try to buy from the rink for the same reason Carl flies a flag. It keeps the rink open, and that's what we play.
Yep. But if they don't have it, they don't have it. But yeah, so I've got an Ula one, I think, which I got from Amazon, and I've got a Titan one, which is really nice. It wasn't cheap, but anyway, the other ones aren't that cheap either. But yeah, don't forget the damn thing because you won't be able to play without it. Alrighty, miscellaneous rules. High sticking. Keep your stick on the ice. Don't wave it around in the air. Don't whack people in the head with it. It is a dangerous weapon. Keep it on the ice. You can see there is an example of how not to use your stick, whacking someone in the side of the head with it. This is not encouraged. Do not do it, please. I've got some videos example of it here as well. Let me just bring this one up for you. Come on, Zoom. I should know where all the share buttons are now. Zoom moves stuff around all the time. It's incredibly annoying. Anyway, here we go. Happens pretty quick, doesn't it? Let's watch it again. Anyone see it?
Did you get stick by his own man there?
Let's have a look. No?
Nope.
All right, so it's happening here. The player in the blue has just whacked the player in the white in the head with a stick. It's pretty easy to do. And it's not always a case of being careless. Sometimes you are allowed to lift your opponent's stick off the ice, and occasionally you're going to get it wrong, and sometimes the stick is going to flick up and whack someone in the face. Another really good reason why you should wear a full cage and not a visor. If someone does whack you in the face with a stick, don't immediately turn around and start abusing them, hacking away at them or punching them or whatever. They probably didn't mean it. All right? They probably didn't mean it. If they did mean it, there's another problem, and the rink and the league will sort that out. But it's almost always unintentional. No one is going out there to deliberately whack other people in the face with a stick. It's just one of those things that sometimes happens. Some people's skating style make it more likely to happen. For example, if people are skating along doing what's called pitchforking, that can whack you in the face if they don't mean to do it. And another one is just contesting the puck. Sometimes when people spin and turn around, they point their stick up to change where their center of gravity is. Sometimes you just get in the way of it. Do not escalate if someone whacks you in the face with a stick. They almost definitely didn't mean to do it. Almost definitely. Except John. I've got the other examples of it here. Here's an example of pitchforking. Has anyone not heard of pitchforking?
I haven't heard of it.
I'll show you what pitchforking is. It's a really bad habit for your skating. It's also slow, so there's a lot of reasons not to do it. but one of them is a safety issue. Oh, Zoom, where did you put it? Where's it gone now? Now it's down the bottom of the screen. Okay, so here's a slow-mo of it. See there, the player in the white jersey with number 20. Watch their stick and watch what their stick does. See that? That's called pitchforking. It's a lot of people, unfortunately, are taught, I'm not quite sure exactly where it comes from, that you have to have two hands on the stick all the time. This is not the case. It's a bit of a pet hate of mine as a coach. Like, you don't need to have two hands on the stick. One hand on the stick and your stick blade on the ice is much better than waving around in the air. Because again, there's that risk of whacking someone as well as it being slow. So just something to be mindful of. That's pitchforking. Keep your sticks down on the ice. Don't wave around in the air. There we go. Come on, PDF. Where are you? Okay, that's the one. Back to here again. All right. Tripping. If you trip someone over with your stick, you get an automatic penalty. The referees have no discretion. It doesn't matter if you meant to do it or not. If you did mean to do it, you'll probably get a longer penalty. You might get 5 minutes. If it's really egregious, you may even get longer than that. You may even get suspended. But if you trip someone over because you're playing the puck and your stick gets in the way of their feet and causes them to fall over, you're going to get an automatic 2 minutes. The referees have no discretion. They have to give you a penalty. So every now and then, you're going to get a tripping penalty. The mere fact that you're playing the game and contesting, sooner or later, you're going to trip someone over. Sooner or later, someone's going to trip you over as well. What's the lesson we learn from this? If someone trips you over, what don't you do?
Fight with them.
You don't turn around and retaliate. They probably didn't mean it. All right, they probably didn't mean it. I've got a better example of this one in this particular folder, which is actually under sportsmanship, but just stand by for a sec while I grab it. Yeah, this is the one. This is an example of, I think it was a trip, but it wasn't called. And then the player decided to take matters into their own hands. All right, see that? Let's watch it again. Pay attention here. All right, so there's the trip. The player who did the trip probably didn't even know she'd done it. I know who it is. It's a girl called Lauren. It's a bit vague. Just kind of skating around, stick on the ice, trying not to fall over, turned around. Not the best skater in the world. Unfortunately for her, stick goes under another player's feet and trips him up. All right. He unfortunately gets a little bit upset about this and does this. Whack. And the irony of it is,
It's not even the person who tripped him.
Not even
Tripped him.
Ah. Yes. Anyway, you're going to get tripped over sometimes. They almost definitely didn't mean it. Do not retaliate. If you're hurt, it's, we'll deal with the injury. But don't escalate if you get tripped over. It's going to happen. That said, try not to trip people over. You don't want to do it. It's not, it's not how we play our game. But if it does happen to you, or you do it to someone, apologize to them. Sorry, I didn't mean to do it. You okay? That sort of thing. But yeah, certainly if someone does trip you over, don't immediately turn around and start wailing away on them. They didn't mean to do it. And even if they did mean to do it, the rink will sort it out. We have an escalation process for unsportsmanlike play, and we have a whole system set up designed to deal with those sorts of issues, and people get suspended and so forth if they do stuff they shouldn't. So we have a process in place to deal with that. Don't take matters into your own hand. If you're a player, certainly on any of my teams, and I'm sure the Griffins and the Lights do the same thing, if you have an incident that you're concerned about, talk to your coach, talk to me or Bron, or I'm not sure who the coach is for the Lights this season. Talk to your coach and say, look, this happened. They can go back and look at the videos. All the games are recorded. They can see the incident. You can then send the incident to the rink if it was missed by the referees, and it will then be handled in an appropriate manner. Do not take the law into your own hands. Do not. That's our problem, not yours. All right. Anyone thinks that's unfair, the door's over there, and out you go. Right. We haven't even got to the interesting stuff yet. There's a couple of other things. In our Div 8 and Div 9 competitions, we have two unique rules, which are not in the rule book. One of them is no diving. We do require that you stay on your feet. You're not allowed to deliberately leave your feet in order to try and get the puck. I'm sure you've watched players in the NHL diving to block shots, diving to try and knock the puck out of someone's stick as they're going near a goal. Those players are getting paid a lot of money to risk their necks, and they can get up really quickly. You guys, one, are not being paid. You're paying for the privilege, and two, you can't get up very quickly. And you can see how dangerous it is. I'll show you an example of it happening and why it's so dangerous. So make sure I've got the right video. No, that's the wrong one. It's also the wrong one. Sorry, I've got the wrong video here. What's going on with this? Oh, this is the one. Never mind. Get there eventually. Haven't put you all to sleep yet? All right. Have a look at this. How dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous. He nearly died. That would have hurt a lot.
It wasn't at the end of the game when the ice is a lot more rough and there's a lot less friction. That player in the green who got tripped may well have gone head first into the boards. Now that's a broken neck. We don't want this to happen. So that's one of the reasons why that particular player is. I don't know if any of you heard of a guy called Matt Watson. He came through our program a couple of seasons ago, and he's a comedian who lives in a van. And he's showing these videos at the moment on how to break into NHL games for free. So that's your thing. Anyway, that was him doing that one. There's a few other examples of it as well. Some examples of what we don't want to happen. So I'll just show you some more videos of what is classed as a dive. See that? This here. That diving for the puck is forbidden. Thou shalt not. 2 minutes in the box. If you're lucky, that's all you get. All right. There's another example of it that I want to show you as well. Come on, video, pause for me so I don't run it past everyone. Another example here. See that? Just wind it back a few frames so you can get a bit of a better view on it. It's happening here. Right. Again, strong risk of injury, not only to the person that you're trying to dive to get in front of, but also to yourself. We've had a couple of people turn themselves into human bowling balls, and they've ended up with some pretty decent concussions. We know a lot more about concussion now than we used to, as a sort of recreational sporting society, for lack of a better expression. We were starting to work out just exactly how dangerous it is. Stay on your feet. As soon as you leave your feet, you're out of the game anyway. So stay on your feet, don't dive for the puck. You are allowed to drop to one knee to shot block if you really want to. We're not huge fans of it in our grade. As you go up through the grades, maybe you want to, but pucks break bones, and there are better things to risk injuries from than trying to get in the way of a shot. Let your goalie do their job. That's what they like to do. One more example of a high stick just before we move on to the next section. I just want to show you this one. This is one more high sticking incident here. I want you to pay attention to what's happening here. Let's watch that one again. So what just happened? Do you remember pitchforking? We were just showed you a video of the pitchforking not long ago. That's a guy pitchforking when he lost balance. And he whacked Lisa Mack in the side of the helmet, and she got a bit upset about it. Fortunately, she didn't escalate it. The guy was very apologetic. He didn't mean to do it, but it can happen. Keep your sticks down on the ice. And if you do get a whack, again, it almost definitely wasn't intentional. All right. Other interesting rules, you can have too many players on the ice. This is something that in the dev squad we're pretty careful with. It's fairly unusual that we get caught with it. You're not allowed more than 5 players on the ice and contesting the puck at any time. You're not allowed to start a change. So ice hockey is unique in how quickly we change. A typical shift, so the amount of time you spend on the ice, is anywhere between 35 and 65 to 70 seconds. It's not very long. And certainly one of the things that in our group we concentrate a lot on through the early part of the season is just working out how to do changes quickly and efficiently, and trying to get fresh legs on the ice. It's one of the reasons why the game is so fast. It's because there's always fresh legs. You need to manage your changes. If you have 6 players on the ice, you'll get a penalty, and it's called a bench penalty. So a player from that team is required to go and sit in the penalty box for 2 minutes. And it doesn't matter necessarily who it is. In our league, it can be any player. We would normally grab the player that had jumped on the ice too early, and that player can go in the box. But it might just be we need someone to go, hey, whoever's closest. Like if you're in one of my teams and we haven't got anyone because we don't know who it was, whoever's like standing next to me, so you go sit in the box for 2 minutes, have a rest. It's not because you've necessarily done something wrong. It's usually a bench management issue, but you can get a penalty for it. Another really big one is just being a bad sport. We're big on respecting ourselves, respecting the officials, and respecting the rink, and respecting our opponents. But regardless of anything that's perceived to have happened, that respect is a core part of our values as a program. And from my personal perspective, if I have any players in our group who we think are not being respectful towards our culture, we will remove those players from the group. You might get a warning depending on how badly you play up. We don't want tantrums. We don't want people yelling at the opposition. We don't want people yelling at referees. We don't want them yelling at your own teammates in any manner apart from encouragement. It's great to yell, hey, go, 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 that's great. But don't start yelling out abuse at anyone. If you're upset or frustrated with something, don't go whacking your stick around. Or basically having a tantrum, you need to get that stuff under control. We don't want to have loose cannons on the ice. I think I have an interesting video of the stick issue too. This is a fascinating one. This happened in, I think, I'm not sure exactly when. This is an NHL situation of a player with a little bit of ill discipline. Look what happens here.
That puck over on Philip Forsberg, and Nashville going to get an opportunity on their power play, 28th ranked power play. And you see the Shabbat just smashed his stick, and as he did, he hit Travis Hamonic on the bench.
Yeah, Here's a player who is having a stick tantrum. Whack. Right into his teammate's face. Well done, buddy. Anyway, no. It should be self-evident, but just no, yeah? The reality is that we have a very diverse group of people, and some have better control over their emotions than others. But it's a requirement of certainly being in our program that you keep a lid on it. If you get upset about something, you don't go having tantrums. Alrighty, what are you up to next? Offside. Here we go, the tricky stuff. Offside in hockey is a rule designed so that you don't have players like in Australian rules football or netball sitting down in the offensive zone all the time just waiting for a long pass. The basic rule is the rink is split up into 3 sections. And in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to need to show you a rink picture. And rather foolishly, I haven't put it in the right place. That's silly of me. Just stand by for just a second while I grab the photo of the rink so we can kind of look what it looks like. Look at what it looks like. I'll only be a second. Dev team tutorials. Any one of them will do. No, not the slapshot one. That's not the one we want. Zoom sessions. Where are we? That's where I put them. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Why is everyone I'm looking at not showing up? Here we go. Here's the rink picture. All right. We'll get there eventually. So here we have a rink. Pretty obvious. If we are playing from the bottom to the top, you can see there's blue lines. Blue lines divide the rink up into 3 sections. You have, if we're defending at this end, this is our defensive zone. This is the neutral zone. And this is the attacking zone. Okay. You are not allowed into the attacking zone unless the puck has gone in first. Seems pretty simple, isn't it? If the puck comes out for any reason, every single attacking player has to leave that zone before any attacking player can go back in. You're going to get it wrong, right? You're going to get offside. It's going to happen. It's an occupational hazard. In the first 4 or 5 games, that's okay. After about game 6, we start getting a bit worried about it. But certainly for the first few games, it's like, oh, you got lost. That's okay. It happens. But if the puck is not in the offensive zone, you're not allowed in the offensive zone. And if the puck comes out, everyone has to go out before anyone can go back in. A way to remember it is puck you. Puck, and then you go in. All right? Not the other way around. And don't worry, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to go offside. In particular, wingers, they're offside all the time. I don't know what it is about wingers. They're always offside. But regardless, it will certainly happen.
If you're playing on the Jokers, you can just listen for me in defense yelling, "No, leg it! Come here!" That's what I do.
I've probably got the loudest foghorn here. And if you hear someone yelling out offside, 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 and you're in the zone, it's you. You're offside. All right. I do have a little handout on it as well, which I'll link up into the Facebook group so you can all have a look at it. Play in your own defensive zone is never offside. Play in the neutral zone is never offside. It's only in the attacking zone that it matters. It's not anywhere else on the ice. It's not like in soccer where you've got the defensive players moving up and down. It's defined by the blue line. I will send out, I will make available a PDF which explains it a little bit more as well. Our icing rule at iceHQ is the same as the icing rule in all forms of ice hockey everywhere. It's all the same. It's one of the few things that's consistent across every league. And so we do have that consistent rule with regards to offside. And when you do find yourself offside, don't beat yourself up. It's going to happen. We're certainly not going to get cranky with you. It's an opportunity to learn. Oh, that was you offside. Yeah, that was me. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, but it happens. Don't worry about it. All right, icing. Icing is the one that a lot of people don't understand. The idea behind the icing rule is if I'm in defence and I'm under pressure, which is often the case, I want to relieve that pressure. I want to get rid of the puck. I want to put it down the other end of the rink. If I do that from my own half and fire it all the way down so it crosses the goal line at the other end, so the red line at the far end of the rink, without anyone touching it, that's called icing, and the puck will then be brought back for a defensive zone face-off in your own defensive zone. That said, it's called winning the race. If you dump the puck down the other end and one of your players, staying onside, by not crossing the blue line first, so it's not easy, one of your players beats the other team to the hash mark, so the line where the circles are, at that point the referee can say they can wave off the icing and the game can continue. We are very conservative with how the referees call icing in the beginner grades at iceHQ. If it's a close race, the referee will blow a whistle for icing. And there's a really, really good reason for that. If I've got two players skating helter-skelter towards one end of the rink, getting quite close together, what's the injury risk? How good are your brakes?
We can't stop.
You can't stop very well. The boards will stop you. Because they don't have padding. There's no padding on these things. And the little bit of padding you wear won't protect your legs and it won't protect your neck. So the referees will blow up icing fairly early on. It doesn't mean you can't win the race, but if it's a close contest, and it'll make more sense when your coaches explain it to you in context, that's what icing will do. Again, it's in my handout that I'll make sure you'll get a copy of. There's no icing if you're on a penalty kill, so if one of your players is in the box, you can just dump it down the other end, and there's no bring it back for a defensive zone face-off. You're allowed to relieve pressure in that regard. And you're required to play the puck too. So if you're a defensive player, if the opposition is icing the process of icing the puck and it goes to you and you just deliberately watch it go past you, then the referees will wave off the icing because you could have played it. You're not allowed to just ignore the puck and say, well, I'm not going to play it because it's icing and stuff them. There is also there's a unique rule with us in most leagues of hockey. When you ice the puck, you're not allowed to get a change. So we change often. We change every sort of 45 to 60 seconds or so. In our league, you are allowed to change on an icing. In most leagues, you're not. It's kind of the sting in the tail. So we allow you to get fresh legs on in defense. Okay, icing. That's the fun one. And don't worry, again, you're going to get it wrong. I think I've got a video of an icing here. So yeah, I'll just show you this video of what icing looks like. This is an animation. So the green team have fired the puck down from behind their own red line. So behind the center line of the rink. You can see the green player here with the puck has elected to dump it from their side of the red line. Dumping is where you just shove the puck down the other end, just to give you the jargon. Here, annotator, come back. Oh, Zoom, you're not playing nicely with me today. Annotator, go away. You can see the puck goes down. The red player is in the lead getting to it. Referee has their hand up, saying it's an icing. And that will stop the play. Okay. It'll make more sense actually in the context of a game, but that's the gist of it. Where are we? Who's falling asleep on me? Anyone too bored? Too bored to speak up is good. Right, where are we? Okay, a code of conduct in our program, and I'm pretty sure that the two other teams do have as well. We have a code of conduct. I'm not going to read it out to you. You've all got a copy of it. In our program, so the two adult iceHQ teams, we do require that you bring a signed copy of this to our first game. We won't let you play unless you do. It's pretty simple. It's mostly common sense. Don't be an idiot. Don't escalate things. If someone does something to you that you think is dodgy, talk to us. Don't escalate it on the ice or anything along those lines. That's pretty much the gist of it. We're all about passion and positive encouragement, but if you start abusing people, you're gonna get the boot pretty quickly. So basically, be nice, pretty much. Seems pretty simple. Anyway, penalties. If you do get a penalty, and you will sometimes, it's 2 minutes in the box. Don't argue with the referee. The referees decide what is reality. They have a different angle to what you see. They have a different perception to what you see, what you think you've seen happen and what the referee sees happen. And what the referee sees happen is determined to be reality, regardless of what you think. We are interested and passionate observers in the reality defined by our referees. Don't argue with them. You can get 10 minutes if you do something really bad and you get match penalties. There are accumulated penalties, which can see if you accumulate more than 40 minutes of penalty time in a season, you're banned for finals and everything as well. So it's pretty hard to get 40 minutes unless you do something really stupid. The sort of things that get you 10 minutes are generally abuse of officials. If a referee makes a call and you then argue with them and then start swearing at them, they're going to very, very quickly give you 10 minutes, which is a match penalty. You're not back on for the rest of the game. When you are in the penalty box, a penalty is nullified if the opposition scheme scores a goal against you. If it's an uneven penalty, so if your team has a penalty, the other team does not. You sit in the penalty box, you just chill. The timekeepers will open up the gate and let you out. When you are let back onto the ice, depending on what your team's policy is, you may continue to play or skate across back to your own bench. I know in our program, we want you to keep playing. Some programs will prefer that you skate across to the bench and get a change. That's up to them. I have a philosophy about coaching, which is never interrupt your opponents when they're making a mistake. So they're welcome to do that. But we will continue to play. When you come onto the game, you want to be, I think you want to be straight back into it. You're fresh. You've been watching the game. Anyway, different coaches will do it in different ways. They can make mistakes if they want. I don't mind. Is there a higher authority? There absolutely is. Our rules come from the National Ice Hockey Federation's rulebook, which you can download and read for yourself. It is a great way to get a good night's sleep because it will bore the pants off you. But there are some interesting parts of it. In particular, there's pages and pages about fights, which are totally irrelevant to us. We have some variations. There is additionally a variation document, which I put into the iceHQ Adult Dev Squad Facebook group, I think today or maybe yesterday. It's worth having a read through that. It explains some of our rule differences. It also explains a little bit about conduct in the car park and bits and pieces like that. We have a tribunal, we have warnings, and we have suspensions. No one in our program that I'm aware of has ever been suspended. I want to keep it that way. So the sort of things that get you suspended are essentially getting out of control and being excessively violent. So we won't have that at all. We usually cut that off before it gets that far. But it's worth having a read of the rule book if you want to, just because it's good to know what the rules are. There's a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of conflict occurs through misunderstandings of the rules. Right, safety. The hardest thing on the ice is the ice. Seems obvious, and it is true. We want to play our game with passion and with enthusiasm, and also with a respect for each other. I want to show you a couple of videos here of how quickly things can go wrong. So this is probably the worst one that I've seen, and this is a video of a player who came through our program a couple of seasons ago, and I've got her permission to show you this. It's not a bit of victim blaming or something or other. I want you to watch what happens here. I'm not trying to scare you off, but just to be mindful of the sorts of things that can go wrong that are preventable by looking after our teammates and our opposition. See that? Naomi ended up with a tibia and a fibia fracture and required extensive reconstructive surgery to her leg. And I don't think she's played much since then, and she spent about 18 months during COVID in hospital. Right, so she couldn't even get visitors. It was a miserable time for her. That notwithstanding, the reason that happened is because the opposition player closed on her close to the boards and knocked her feet out from underneath her. It was not intentional. That was an accident. Naomi was slowing down as she got close to the board. She wasn't the best skater in the world, wasn't particularly confident. And the other guy was coming quick because he wanted to win the battle to the puck and get the puck and score a goal. More important, we score goals, yeah. And unfortunately, he ran into the back of her, knocked her feet out from underneath her, and she ended up with a compound fracture on her tibia and fibia. Very unpleasant situation. How do you avoid that?
Probably just back off.
Back off. It's really obvious, isn't it? Just back off. It's not that important. It's just a game of hockey, right? It could be the grand final. I don't care. Look after each other. It's so important because it's a dangerous environment. We do not want people getting hurt. It's so easy to get overwrought. It's all this because we love passion and we want to be as competitive as we can and all these great things that are why we play adult recreational sport. But at the end of the day, we've got to look after each other, and it is absolutely key critical that we do so. And that's part of that whole respect thing I was talking about earlier. We respect our opponents, we respect ourselves, we respect the environment, and we don't try and hurt anyone. We will go out of our way to avoid hurting people, even if it means maybe they get the puck. You know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that much. It's not that important. You're not getting $1 million prize money. It's just not going to happen. If you win, you get a trophy and a can of beer. Yay!
Get the can of beer anyway.
And you don't get to keep the trophy. Whatever. At least we give you pucks at the end of the season as a congratulation. I will show you some more incidences of some things that can go wrong. Again, they are preventable. And they're preventable just by essentially being sensible. Here's another situation. If you watch the bottom screen.
That glitched right over that. It looked much more painful because of it.
I missed the first half of that, John.
Right. Yeah, it's stopping just before the impact.
All right. That there is Beck was holding her ground, and she got a fairly decent concussion out of that. You'll get to know Beck. She's our goalie coach. She'll be around a bit. So she will, if you're one of our goalies, she's a resource for you to lean on. So she will be around at times throughout our games. But you can see there, the player belting in towards her at 1,000,000 miles an hour made no attempt to avoid the collision. Be careful. All you have to be is just be careful. Right? It doesn't matter that much. It's just a game. I can rant about that all day, and I will. But anyway, but you can see how quickly those sorts of things can happen, and it's just being reckless. And we've got to be careful that we look after each other's safety in that context because it is so quick to happen. Sorry, Jane has just arrived. This is their safety seminar.
Hi.
You'll need to be here.
Jane.
There we go. Hi.
Yep. Hello, everyone in the Dev Squad. This is the person that makes it all possible.
Thank you very much.
Jane's the best. We love Jane.
Jane loves cheesecake, by the way, just letting you know. Best thing in the world. Cheesecake and what else? Cheesecake.
Right now, sleep.
Right now, sleep. You got you. All right. Other stuff that can happen. This is another example of being mindful of closing on people from behind. And I'm kind of labouring the point, but it is a big deal. All puns intended. Here's another situation where this time there was no injury, but you can see the risk involved. All right, see that? It's an innocent collision. The guy didn't mean it, but it was just puck fever. Be sensible. Look after each other.
Seriously, that situation happens a lot. Just leave it.
Yep.
It just leave it.
Doesn't matter that much. Other things to be super mindful of. Don't ever use your feet to push or kick at anyone. Skates are very, very dangerous things. Don't kick, don't slash, whatever. Don't use your stick as a weapon. Don't intentionally trip people over, regardless. You're all beginners. You're all unstable on your skates. Look after each other. And if in doubt, back off. It's just a game of hockey. And you're beginners. It's not. It doesn't matter that much. So yeah, and look after each other. So respect everyone and look after each other, and that's really kind of the gist of it.
What if I also say as well is I'll say that for the most part, for at least my season that I played so far, people have been really good at that.
Yeah, on the whole.
Like generally, like this thing was real big and scary because it's now a long talk about all the things you can hurt yourself with. But generally, like there are injuries out there, but people are pretty damn good out there on the whole. So be one of them.
So I do apologise. I'm not trying to scare everyone, but it is important that we kind of highlight these things, because if we don't manage them now, then things can escalate, and we obviously don't want them to. But good point, John. Absolutely. Where are we? Back to the video. Sorry, I've got the screen on the wrong thing. Big picture of your dial, Big J. All right, is this better? Here we go. Almost finished.
Looking at my forehead, I will admit it's unpleasant.
it's what you wear helmets for. All right, concussions. As hopefully you're aware, helmets do not protect you from concussions. They protect you from breaking your head open, which is a good thing, and you certainly want that. They protect you from pucks and sticks and those sorts of things to an extent. They protect you from breaking your skull, but they don't protect you from concussions. The current guidelines from the Australian Sports Commissions with regards to concussion is 21 days. If you get a concussion, you should sit out for 3 weeks. In my day, we got a concussion, we got up and we kept going. It was a badge of honor. Nowadays, it was a very, very stupid thing for us to have done. And I'm just waiting to find out after I've died how bad my CTE is. But anyway, it is an issue. And if you get a concussion, don't take it as if it's no big deal, because it will add up on you and can ultimately lead to some pretty severe trauma later in life.
Remember that guy who said he got his face busted open? He played the next week. It was not smart.
He shouldn't have been allowed to. I don't know who was running the program, but that shouldn't have been permitted. The coach should have said, you got 21 days off. Anyway, we can't regulate what other people do. Major injuries, if there's a broken bones happen because we fall over more, we run into walls more, we're not careful enough because you don't have the skill, and so forth, and all those sorts of things. So it boils down to look after each other, and just be careful. And accept that there is an element of risk involved in the sport. We can't do much about it except to look after each other as best we can, wear good equipment, and play within our limits. You might be able to skate really fast but not have good brakes. Maybe you don't skate quite so fast. Slow down until you're skating within your ability to control what you're doing. Seems obvious now. In the heat of the moment, it's harder to manage. There is insurance that's bundled as part of your fees. It's documented on the iceHQ webpage. Have a look at it, see what it covers. It's not particularly generous. I think you have to start losing limbs before you start getting any sort of decent payout. So that's I broke a fingernail, I'm going to get a grand's worth of insurance. It's not going to be like that. So be mindful of what the insurance does cover. You have paid for it as part of your fees, but you want to know what it is going to cover. Some things that can cause concussions. Here's a really good one. This happened in a game a couple of years ago. You've probably all heard the expression skate with your head up and look where you're going. Maybe, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Eyes up.
Eyes up, look where you're going. Let's have a look at this bit of a play here. I think that was the last game that player ever played.
Oh,
it was a pretty decent concussion, and it wasn't the first one. That was a classic case. We go back and look at it a little bit. 2 things going on here. The first one is you've got a big guy and a little guy. Okay. Guy there in the green, it's probably 100 kilos. This one here is probably 65-ish, so massive mass difference and height difference. And we're barreling along after the puck. We're not looking where we're going. Crunch. Big concussion. Look where you're going. If in doubt, keep your head up and skate within yourself. There's a lot of people who do try and skate above their abilities to actually control what they're doing. Skate within your ability to play the game. Golly, we're nearly done. I think we're nearly done. What slide number is that? Should be numbers. Safety, good habits. Keep your stick on the ice. No pitchforking. Your coaches should remind you of this before every game. I know I certainly do with everyone in our program, and hopefully the 2 other coaches do the same. Keep your sticks on the ice. Stay on your feet. Obvious again, but just stay on your feet as much as you can. Try not to leave your feet deliberately, and if you do fall over, get up as fast as you can. Takes care when you're skating behind people. We've seen why now. We've seen how important that is. Another one that matters is keep the gate closed when you're changing. When you're coming in after a change, close the gate, because when it's open, it's more dangerous. look up instead of down at the ice. We've just seen a really good reason for why you want to do that, and give your opposition the benefit of the doubt. There's a collision where you get hit, whatever. It was an accident. They didn't mean to do it. And pretty much guarantee you that they did not mean to run into you. They just can't stop and they don't know what their stick's doing. It's going to happen. Be mindful. And certainly in our group, any deliberately unsafe play will have a player removed. I have no tolerance for it. It's a hazard enough sport as it is without making it worse with people being stupid. So we will not have that at all in our program, and I'm sure the other teams will do the same. Special rules for us, the Div 9 rule, you've seen that, stay on your feet. Another rule, you're not allowed to slap shot in Div 9 and Div 8. Not that that really matters anyway. I can pretty much guarantee that none of you have a slap shot. Does anyone here think they have a slap shot? I'd like to hear it, because we'll see what you can do in the training session. Show me what you got. I can pretty much guarantee that you don't. They're not very effective. Unless you're really, really good at slap shots, generally they just give the goalie plenty of warning that you're about to shoot on them. If you want to score goals, you take goalies by surprise. You don't send them a note saying you're about to shoot at them. Our rule is enforced early for icing. Again, I've explained why that's the case. We've gone back through those videos and looked at why you don't want to be chasing down to the end of the rink at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And keep it real and have fun. John made a really good point. This is all the scary stuff. But actually, it's pretty rare. I've shown you highlights of lowlights, I guess, with those videos. But the reality is that the game is a hell of a lot of fun. And we all do look after each other. And we encourage a good culture of looking after and respecting each other. And all of the teams do that. I know the Griffins and the Southern Lights are both very respectful. And the culture of those two teams is excellent. And so all 4 of the teams involved in this season's beginner league every player will be looking after everyone. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm certainly looking forward to it. We're all volunteers, and we do it because we love it. So hopefully we can share some of our passion and enthusiasm for this game and give you guys a great start into what will hopefully be long and enjoyable careers playing one of the most fun games that there is. And that is it. I've run out of slides. 80 minutes. That's not too bad. Righty. Any other questions? Kate McIntosh, I haven't received an email from you yet saying what position you want to play. Ha ha, gotcha.
Oh, yeah, I only just saw
Yeah.
that message today.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't really mind, to be honest.
Right. Well, because we need deep. We always need deep. Any other questions about anything? It's a good opportunity now while you've got me.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is there only just one training session? Because I have to miss the first one, but I'm hoping.
There will be 4 in total for the Dev Squad. We have one pre-season, which is this Saturday, I think it is, from memory. I think it's this Saturday. Is it this Saturday or this Sunday? Either way, we're still trying to get the final details on that from Ryan. I've been nagging him for a few days. So there'll be one pre-season, and then there'll be 3 training sessions throughout the season. One a couple of weeks in, one a couple of months in, and one usually 2 or 3 weeks before finals, where we do a little bit of fine-tuning. The thing to be mindful of, again, in our program is if you can't make it to that first session, obviously we would prefer if you did, because it'll give you some introductory stuff that will help.
Mm-hmm.
But the way our program works is we consider the first 6 to 10 games to be training sessions with live opposition.
Yeah.
You're there to learn to play, right? We're not interested in winning. I'm not going to pretend it's not nice to win games, because it is. And it's foolish to pretend otherwise. But we're not about winning games. We're about improving. So every game we have a set of goals that we set out. We'll have 3 targets for the team to achieve throughout this goal. And for the first game, one of those big goals is just getting changes happening, right? Because you'll stuff it up. Everyone does. It's like, what? 60 seconds? No way. I was only out there for 45, and we got to watch on you. It's like 4 minutes you've been out on the ice. I was like, come on, get a change. Like, whoa, because your brain, our sense of time is terrible, especially under pressure. So yeah, don't worry about it. Obviously, we prefer if you can, because you will get a lot out of it. But you'll be okay. We've had lots of players. I think John didn't come to the first one, did you, John? Is John still around? John, did you miss pre-season last season? I think you did. Anyway, maybe he's died. And he was all right. He survived.
I didn't go to the first training session, and because I wasn't on the team, and you learn pretty quick.
Yep. We'll follow. Okay, the whole program is designed to get you learning how to play the game. So the first training session is what we do in that one, we'll be working on some basic positioning. We'll go, this is where to stand, pretty much, and then we'll do some changes. And we do something that I don't normally do. We actually finish the first training session with a thing called a scrimmage, which is a little unstructured game. And we do that for a very specific reason. I don't normally like using scrimmages in training sessions because they tend to undo all of the good work you've just done throughout the training session because everyone loses their minds. But I want you to get used to dealing with chaos because it's a chaotic game. We try and impose structure on it, but it's chaotic. It's like pretty much every sport where there's more than one player, more than one or two people in it. There's a whole element of randomness going on, and in particular, there's this little black rubber thing bouncing around all over the place. No one knows where it's going, and you're in a new environment, and everyone's falling over and all that sort of stuff. So the first few games is really just being used to being immersed in that environment.
Thanks for that.
It's pretty thrilling. We have a debriefing after the first one, and the most common after the first game, and the most common thing that everyone says to us is, "Oh, I couldn't believe how stressful it was, but gee, it was fun." It's like, yeah, because you'll get this massive jolt of adrenaline. You jump on the ice and, oh, and all this stuff's happening, and you're like, "What do I do? Where do I go?" And I don't know. And it's like, "Oh, help, help, help!" And we don't help you very much because we want you to learn with that immersion. We can't do everything for you, or you actually don't learn it very well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with how people learn, but one of the best ways to learn is to be in an environment where it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. Don't worry, you will.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
And we will be there to help you pick up the pieces. It's like you climb the ladder, we're holding the safety rails underneath you. So if you fall down, we'll catch you. But you're going to fall down sometimes, and that's okay. Just, yeah, have fun.
Carl?
Yep.
Oh, I've got one question about the position. I don't know which position should I go. Do you have any tips?
If you've had a read of the guide of positions, which we sent out, and is also on the overview document, it does kind of give you a little bit of an overview. As a general rule, we're always short on D.
You can skate backwards, Pat, so you got to play D.
Well, not necessarily. It's a bit of a gross generalization, but it does help. As a general rule, we tend to put the stronger skaters in either D or center, and the faster skaters and also the slower skaters in wing. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Wingers can make more mistakes, and it's a little bit less of an issue for building your own confidence. For example, if I'm a goaltender and I make a mistake, it's a goal, usually. And that, from the point of view of building your confidence, it's not very good. So we want to put players who are needing a bit of confidence boost where mistakes they make won't give goals away. You might lose scoring opportunities, but there's hundreds of them. That doesn't matter. It's about not, can't believe I just let 5 goals in. It breaks your heart. You don't want that to happen, and you feel like you're letting your team down. It's not the case. We don't really care, but that's how it feels. So if you're a better skater, generally, I would be happy if you wanted to play D. There's another advantage to playing D, and you'll get more ice time.
Very true.
Certainly in our program, the way it works is you might have heard of lines. You've got 2 wingers in a center and 2D, and they work as a unit. That's not how we work. What we do in our program is we rotate positions. So we'll have 3 or 4 centers, and the center just changes with the next center. And it's independent of what the other players are doing because it's too hard to manage anyway. Even in the NHL, they stuff it up, and they're professionals doing it all the time. What chance do we have? So we don't worry about line changes. We do positional changes. So usually you'll have 3 or 4 left wingers, 3 or 4 centers, 3 or 4 right wingers, 2 or 3 left D, and 2 or 3 right D. And if you think about it, if there's 4 wingers and 3D, 4 wingers, each one of them is getting roughly 25% of the game. The 3D are getting 33% of the game. You get more ice time as a D.
You're also a goon. Get your button D.
So there are advantages in it.
I've played against you. You should be playing in D. Come to the dark side.
I haven't played against you, but I know you're a goon.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Team management. We do our absolute best to make sure that you can play any position you want to. We've kind of got these guidelines that we kind of use, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. If you say, Carl, I don't want to play D, I want to play wing, then you're playing wing. It's that simple. I will do everything I possibly can to make that work. That said, if I have a team of 20 players and every single one of them says they want to be a centre, it's not going to work. So we do need to divvy things up a bit. And when we do have those sorts of contentions for positions, then we'll make some decisions about how we can try and make that work as best we can. And I do my very best as a coach to make sure that everyone gets a chance to play whatever position they like whenever we possibly can and as best we possibly can. But there are some practical limits to that. Again, I can't have 10 centres. It just doesn't work. It's like watching 5-year-olds playing soccer. You ever watch 5-year-olds play soccer? What do? Anyone watch little kids play soccer? It's just this swarm of bodies all around a ball, just trying to kick it. That's what happens when you've got too many centres. Everyone's on it. It's like, where's the puck? Where's the outlet pass? A what?
This goes for everyone too. I play defense. Defense is more fun than it looks. Like you don't get a lot of the glory of scoring goals, but boy, does it feel good when you stop other people.
It's so important. Anyway, so again, it's up to you. You don't have to. Decisions you make are not cast in stone. You can send me an email with "I'd like to try this out" and so forth, and we'll do our best to accommodate that. We'll get a bit of a chance to see most of you at the training session, where we'll get a bit of a chance to kind of see how well you skate, and you'll get a chance too to say what you enjoyed. Because really, it's what you enjoy. We don't want to constrain you to something you don't want to do. Heck, you're paying for this. It should be fun. It's like, I do all the time and I hated it. Well, let me know. We'll change it. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I want to make you happy.
Not and in one piece.
Yes, we can anyway. So yeah, suck it and see, I guess. See what you like, and don't worry, you can change. It's not determined.
Awesome.
Anything else? No, we're all good.
What time should we get there?
For the training session?
Yeah.
This is the thing that I'm still trying to work out with Heinzie. It's either when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, Ryan Heinzie's he runs the league and does a pretty damn good job of it too. It's a huge job. There's over 1,000 players in the league. It's huge. We've been trying to negotiate when the time will be. I think it was either going to be 6:30 p.m. or 7:30 p.m. on the ice. Now, what we want you to do is ice time is precious. Okay, you get 1 hour and that's it, and you don't get to go five minutes longer or anything. It's an hour, and then the Zamboni comes on, does the next cut, and away you go. So we want you changed and ready to go half an hour before the time slot. Changed and ready, laces done up, the whole kit and caboodle, so that I can have a talk to you as a group and go through what we're going to do on the ice before we get on the ice. I don't expect you to remember it all, because you won't, but at least you'll get used to you. So when we get on the ice, we're not going to spend 10 minutes standing around with a whiteboard saying, and now we're going to do this and this and this. We're going to have a bunch of assistant coaches who are going to be guiding everyone through. And we're going to get through as much repetition as we can on the basic skills that we want to cover, which we mostly just where to stand. The puck's here, stand here, move that way. Puck's there, stand here, do that. And we'll have assistant coaches with vests on saying what position they're playing. And you basically follow them the first time we're through, and then we take them away, and then you start doing it on your own. And then sort of 10 or 15 minutes later, you start to get it right, and you're like, yes, time to do the next thing. But yeah, we want to be able to give you a briefing with your concentration, not with you still doing up your laces and trying to work out what sock tape is, half an hour before the training session starts. So that would be about 6. It means you want to get there. If the training session ends up being 6:30 on the ice, you want to get there 5:30.
Okay.
At least. If you've never put hockey gear on before, can I tell you? So my first, now I could get there at 5:30 and I'd be okay. But when I started hockey school, my first half of the season, we were getting there an hour early, because you got to figure out skates are right, and then it takes you a while to get dressed, and then let's be honest, we all talk shit anyway. If you can give yourself more time, give yourself more time.
And remember, there's also a certain order to putting clothes on, and you mess that up 3 or 4 times, it's screwed up.
And then there's people who put the elbow guards on their knees and their knees on their elbows. It happens, right? Because
it's not a joke.
But think about it. I mean,
I would love to see that.
Don't get me wrong, we laugh about it because it's funny, but it's also very understandable. You're in a new environment, whole heap of new people. It's stressful, right? We're adults. We're not little kids. It's not like you've all been thrown into grade 1 together and everyone's all new, and Even those little 1-year-old kids, they all have candies, and half of them end up going home crying. So we're throwing you all into an environment where we're going to jam you into one changing room, and there'll be like 40 of you with new gear, all these new friends that you have to get to know. This is a socially stressful situation. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. When you do, have a laugh about it. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, idiot. Whatever. Wash it off and keep going. It's just whatever you don't dwell on it. Just everything you do when you make it, when you make those sorts of mistakes. We just have a bit of a giggle about it and keep going. This game does require that you have a sense of humor.
And strong bones.
Because you're going to
Yeah,
fall over.
yeah. I was gonna ask. So does hockey school start tomorrow? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It does.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So it'd be there at least an hour or more.
Remember, we're not hockey school.
Sorry.
Remember, we're not hockey school.
Well, no, I know. That's an outside question.
Yeah, it starts. If it's your first time at hockey school, be there an hour early. Give yourself time to get everything organised and just be relaxed. The last thing you want to do are rolling up there and under pressure and trying to get stuff done in a rush, and then you've got to jump on the ice, and again, there's all these new people, and you're the last one on, and you've missed the first drill, and you're like, oh, can I get on?
That won't be you.
Just
Don't worry.
cascade of Make it life easy. Get there
If
early.
you're coming to hockey school, I'll be there. So come and say hello to me. You can't miss me.
I would love to come and say hello. I'll have the only thing I have a dark blue jersey.
Nice.
So,
I'll be early and in change room 3, and probably with I'm the really tall one, and then I'll have a really short bestie next to me because we are a pair. Pat can attest. But my first hockey school, like just for anyone who is doing, sorry, Carl, I'm taking over your thing. For anyone who is doing hockey school, my first one, I was like, shit have I signed up for? Like, it was terrifying because they put us in with like Div 9 and then Div 8. And like, I'm gonna be honest with you, the difference between me, my first day of hockey school, and the top end of Div 8 is really extreme. So it's really scary. But let me tell you, it's not that scary. The coaches are great. They're really nice. You make great friends like Pat, who's laughing at me because he remembers that first day. And I was so scared. But it's not that scary. And so if you're coming and it's your first one, come say hi to me. We'll probably be in the same group because we're the same.
Because we are the best.
Yeah, because we're the best. And we have so much fun, don't we, Pat? Like, it's fun.
Yes.
And we laugh a lot. Ash and I, in particular, just talk shit and laugh for an hour, but also have fun. So
I totally agree with you because, the first lesson that was ever, we just came to ice. My heart was beating so fast. I couldn't stand straight. And the first exercise we had was one-on-one. It was like, come on.
Not even just one-on-one, but it was one-on-one pinning your opposition against the boards. And I was like, am I in the wrong spot? Like, this feels not the skill level I'm at.
Yeah, but it's really cool. And
it's fun.
Just say hi tomorrow. That's a good lesson that you will have. And I think 10 more. It's 11 lessons together.
Yeah.
I think so.
11.
I think so. Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Just a little bit of background.
So good.
Talking about the hockey school is actually a really relevant thing because it's not everyone necessarily understands quite where what we do fits into, if you like, the big picture. So you've got hockey school. Hockey school doesn't teach you how to play hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey school teaches you skills you need to play hockey, but it doesn't teach you how to play hockey. Skating school doesn't teach you how to play hockey. Skating school teaches you how not to fall over quite so much and hopefully how to get back up again. And all these things are important. What we teach you is the missing bit. We teach you how to take the skills that you're hopefully learning and apply them actually in a game, which in the structure of the beer league, the recreational league, as opposed to the club system, is the missing piece, and it wasn't being done until we started slotting that in. So we don't, in all our training sessions, I'm not going to try and teach you how to skate. I'm not going to try and teach you how to hold a stick. I'm not going to try and teach you how to puck handle. We don't do that. We concentrate on gameplay. So we'll be teaching you a basic breakout, where to stand in defense, where to stand in attack, where to stand in a penalty kill situation, because it's going to happen. You need to know how to do it. Like, how do we kill a penalty? Well, we do a box. A what? Well, if we've done it at least once, you've got a fighting chance of being able to remember how to do it. As opposed to you've never done it at all and someone's just trying to say on a whiteboard, I'll go do a box penalty kill. I know what? So we're just basically introducing those things to you to start off with. And the idea is that if you want to improve your skating, and everyone here needs to improve their skating, I need to improve mine, so you guys will certainly need to improve yours. You go and do it at skate school, you go and do public sessions, you go and do stick and pucks, you get yourself organised as teammates and you help each other out and you say, we're all going to go down to Docklands or Oakley or you must, or one of our sessions at our rink, and work together and practice together and try and apply what we're trying to teach you and all the other things and all the stuff you've gained off the internet and you watched I Train Hockey and you watched Coach Jeremy and all these other things, and throw all that stuff into the mix and find what works for you. And my job is to get you playing hockey, because that's why you do this stuff. It's the fun bit. 9:38. I got to go up in the morning, so I'm going to wind it up now. But thank you all of you for coming along and being enthusiastic and involved participants in this. It was the most fun one I've done so far. I think you guys have asked a lot of really good questions, which is terrific. And I will see most of you on Saturday. And as soon as I have the time details for that organised, I will mail out through Bench App, so you'll all get an email saying what that is.
Sorry, just confirming. This Saturday or next Saturday?
Next
Saturday.
19?
Yep.
Okay.
At least in the application, it's showing 19.
Yep, it's next Saturday.
Whatever it is on Bench App and is correct.
Okay, cool.
We're just waiting on the time to be finalised. I'm still nagging Heinzie to say,
That's
look,
fine.
6:30 or 7:30, but make up your mind.
That's fine.
Why it's complicated for him is because his partner, Bron, is the coach of the Griffins. Now, I'm not saying they organise things around themselves, because they don't, but there's always a little bit of, this will be more convenient because, I've got to go out for dinner or something or other, and we'll just suck it up.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, and I'm really looking forward to this season. It should be a heap of fun.
Thank you, Gar. Thank you, guys. See you on ice.
Thank you. See some of you tomorrow.
you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.